from LostInMyMind.com, and I am here with Josiah Johnson.
Hello.
From The Head and the Heart, and we're going to get lost inside the mind of Josiah for the next few moments. So tell us about, what's your role in the band, first of all?
I sing and I play acoustic guitar and I shake various percussive instruments and dance. Probably the most of a band member on stage.
I like that. I do like that. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Southern California. I grew up in Orange County, like Dana Point, Laguna Niguel. And it was a great place to grow up, and then just kind of got to get out of the suburbs and move to a city when you want to, like, you know, be an adult and do, you know, interesting adult things. So I've been to Seattle on road trips, so then I moved there like 3 years ago.
Okay, as you were growing up, was there a formative musical influence for you, some band artist that really... It was actually
Radiohead, which is totally strange to think about, like, what our music sounds like. But I remember the music that I listened to early in my life was really bad. It was contemporary Christian music, and then it was like that screamo stuff in high school. I was a very emotional teenager at the time, susceptible to bad music trends. But my voice doesn't sound like any of those, any of that sort of thing, so I didn't, think of myself as having a voice that,
sounded like contemporary Christian screamo.
Yeah. It just wasn't a voice that, sounded like voices that I had heard in the music that I'd listened to. I had a very, limited musical education growing up. So I heard Radiohead, and his voice isn't the same as mine, but he does whatever he wants with it, and it didn't sound like, anything that I had heard, and sometimes it sounds like it's just an instrument, and I don't know, just the things that he does with his voice were like, oh wow, you can sing however you want if you have something to say, and, people will listen to it, even if it doesn't sound like those things that I think it should sound like.
Interesting. So how'd you get involved with the other members of the Head and Heart?
Well, when I moved to Seattle, I'd been in a couple of bands in Southern California. I moved to Seattle and hadn't been in a band for a while. Wasn't really looking to be in one, but I always kept writing songs, and just for myself, it's something that just gets a load off of your brain when you can't say it any other way than putting it into a song. And so it just was more of a mental health thing, and it was just and it's just fun to do. And so I started playing at open mics because that's the least stress. You don't need to be in an organized band to do it. And I met John a few months into playing there, and I was originally playing with other people, and we played with a bunch of different people for a while, just doing acoustic shows. We met Kenny 3 months later, and just John and I had started hanging out and writing songs. And when we met Kenny, it was all of a sudden there was this whole new dimension with his piano playing. And it was oh wow, this is it just felt like it was the momentum in terms of how we were writing songs. It just felt like it was building and actually going somewhere. And we were writing songs that people would remember, the next week at open mic that we'd played and that sort of thing. And yeah, just over the course of time, we met Charity at that same open mic, and Chris was our bass player, was the bartender there, and John convinced Tyler to move out from Virginia because that's where John's from. And it was but it was over this long span of time. It was a while that we'd been writing songs before we even realized we're going to be a band. It was just kind of more just because it was fun, and all of a sudden it was oh, we have a bunch of songs and we like each other, and there's this chemistry thing there going on.
So what was the first Head and Heart song, as it were, that you guys wrote together?
I think Honeycomb Home was the first song that was written, period, that I'd written. It was totally different. But as a band, the first song that we wrote together was Down in the Valley. And John had it on acoustic guitar, a verse, and part of the build at the end. And Kenny, we'd just met him, and a week later we were trying to figure out ways to play together, and the libraries downtown had pianos, and we went into the library and started, and Kenny just came up with the dun 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 dun, right on the right on the spot. It was just kind of happened. It was this really easy thing, and all of a sudden it was the little nuances of the song of the build kind of changed, and we rearranged things, but the basic structure was there. right away.
Right
you know,
there.
like all
In the
others were
library.
there. Yeah.
You got the librarian yelling at you, "You be quiet in the
Well,
library!"
they had these practice rooms, but we definitely were singing. They weren't like soundproof, so it was like we thought that it was totally cool until we like realized that it was like bleeding out into the quiet areas. So we did get in trouble for that, but
Worth it.
yeah, it was cool.
So as you guys have really kind of come into your own and expanded, and you know the wave of press and the touring opportunities and things like that, what's your reaction like to watching it unfold?
I think you know, like the most you can do as like a songwriter or a musician is, you know, like especially if you like haven't written an album before, there's like no pressure, there's no like expectations. All you can do is just like take, you know, your experiences and like put them down and hope that other people like identify with them. And then, you know, like in your like biggest dreams, you hope that like hundreds of people identify with them, you know, or you know, but like the like scope of it has like far surpassed like what you imagined happening when all of the songs were written. So it's been very strange to start. I mean, it's really cool that so many people do identify with those words. You know, it's like a very reaffirming thing in a way, you know, to go like, I feel these things and you apparently feel them and identify with them too, you know. So that's yeah, I don't know, it blows my mind sometimes, like the bands that we've gotten to play with and like the people that we've met, you know, because you're a kid and you know, thinking it would be, you know, those people were like gods, you know.
Right. And
then you realize they're just like normal people, and these venues that you know were way, you know, you'd hope that you'd play like the 500 person room like once in your life and you'd be satisfied, and then you're playing in front of like thousands of people. It's crazy. I mean, I don't know. It's just my mind just is constantly blown because it's been so fast.
Right. I mean, I think, you know, just as a fan of the band, I think what you're saying about people resonating with your music, I mean, to me, that really is, I think, what makes The Head and the Heart so remarkable, is that there's something in the words of the songs that, and in the melodies and in the way that they're conveyed on stage by you guys, that just, that every person kind of could relate to and could find their own life in that experience. And I think that's really, that's one of the things that's most awesome.
That's so cool.
So when you're on tour, have you had a favorite spot that you played in, favorite city, favorite venue, anything like that so far?
I don't know. There's like different reasons to like different cities. There's definitely, like, I think my first like through like, you know, through like months and months of touring, my home away from home is probably Boise, Idaho.
Wow.
Like really small place, and not really like one that like a lot of, you know, bands go through. I think I've heard that they try to avoid it if at all possible on tours, because it's not like a huge amount of people. I don't know. It's not like a huge
classic. Boise, Idaho.
But yeah, it was just we like really early. That was like the first place that we ever played on any tour. It was like back in June. And we played to like 20 people, and they were like sitting way in the back of this like hall, like sipping their wine, not paying any attention to the opening band. And like through, you know, like I don't know, I think we've played there like 8 times now, and just like every time we went back, there was always like someone that we met that like, you know, that lived, you know, gracious to us, or like, you know, like, you know, I don't know. It's a weird place. It's a place that I feel like has embraced us, maybe just because like they don't normally see bands that like pay attention to them or something like that. But I don't know. We've just met so many nice people that are like so down to like have us there and hang out, and it's still a small enough like community of people that like every time you go back, you see all of those same like people, and a lot of them are actually like friends that you would hang out with.
Interesting.
So yeah, there's like been lots of other places where it's just like where you have like an incredible show, you know, that's, you know, transcendent compared to all the other shows, you know, you think at the time, and that happens, you know, but I think like, I don't know, I still think of
that's the place.
I still think of that.
That's the place. So if you're going to catch a show from The Head and the Heart, you want to catch them in Boise, Idaho.
Or Seattle.
Or Seattle. Yeah, home.
Yeah.
Is there do you usually room with a particular person in the band when you're on tour? You got like a roomie, or is it?
Yeah. No, I mean, me and John, like before, like we even like were a band. You know, we kind of like started writing songs together because we became best friends. You know, like like there was no like. The point was that we were friends hanging out, and then the writing songs was just like one of the things that we did for fun. And so like he's, you know, he's my best friend. So awesome, like that.
Favorite food when you're on the road?
There's like there's two categories. I think there's like the like you can never find it anywhere, but every once in a while you do, and it's miraculous, and it's like Vietnamese food, like Vietnamese / Thai food. Like those places are like hard to find, especially like if you're in the Midwest.
Right.
But like when you find them, it's like, oof. And then I never used to eat. This is not my favorite food, but I eat more McDonald's now than in the last year than I probably did in my first 25 years growing up, because they're everywhere. It's a terrible, terrible thing that I do.
They're everywhere.
But they're everywhere.
Interesting. All right, so we got two last questions as we probe the depths of your being. So first of all, do you have a favorite cartoon character, something that kind of epitomizes you or what you bring to the band?
Oh, there's multiple facets of that question. I don't know if I have a favorite cartoon character that epitomizes me.
Or just one that you love.
I remember growing up and loving, what's the like Rescue Rangers? It's like that Monty guy that always is like eating cheese. Did you ever watch that show?
I did watch Rescue Rangers. Monty, the cheese.
Like the fat dude, the fat mouse that's always like, I don't know.
It's a great
That guy's
answer.
cool.
That's a great answer.
That guy's probably my favorite cartoon character.
I like that. I do like that.
He kind of reminds me more of my brother. Not the fat, always eating cheese thing, but he's just like really gregarious and very much like he's so naturally himself all the time.
And that is, and I can say, having met Jake, I do believe that he is gregarious and just truly himself.
Yeah.
It's an awesome man. So one last question for you. So in the moments where you get lost in your mind, summarize like in one word, where does your mind go? Where would you say?
The beach.
Any specific beach or just in general?
No. The beach. Just like every time I hit one now, because I don't live near it anymore. It's just like, because I grew up in Southern California, I did live near it. It's just like the best feeling of home and calm, and love it. You can get like crazy in the water, or you can just like sit there and listen to it and relax. It's my best.
Amazing. Well, thank you for your time. Josiah Johnson from The Head and the Heart, and stay tuned in another 2 weeks.